time for my fade of the week. We're going back to a team that I faded earlier in the season because they are very bad. Air Force and Navy are playing this weekend.
There could be a lot of those.
I have Navy -10 because they're good, by the way. They are 4-0. They are 10th in the nation in net yards per play. Like, they're playing some really good football right now. They're 14 for 14 in the red zone scoring touchdowns. Like, they are a scoring machine. They're playing well on defense. But more than anything else,
Horvath gives them a little bit of a passing presence as well, which is big for that offense.
More than anything else, Air Force is very, very bad, Bear. Like more than we think they were going to be this year. 129th in points per drive. They're 0 for 4 against the spread, but not even close. The first game is Merrimack. They didn't cover, but since then, they were 2.5-point favorite to San Jose State. They lost by 10. They were getting 17 points at Baylor. They lost by 28. And last week, they were favored by 4.5 against Wyoming, who was not good, Bear, and they lost outright 31-19. So give me Navy here -10. This game I don't think is going to be close. I know it's a rivalry game. I know they're playing for pride and for a trophy here and for the Commander's Cup eventually, right? Commander's Trophy. It's trophy or cup?
SC Trophy.
Trophy?
CIC
okay.
Trophy.
Yeah. But they're not good. They lost. We talked about to start the season. They lost a lot of production from last season. I think Navy, who is playing very well this season, Bear. Navy might be 11-1. The only game on the schedule right now that, like, for sure maybe an L is Notre Dame. So I like Navy to cover this -10 as my fade of the week. We're fading Air Force.
Yeah, it's interesting because I bet Air Force once this year, and once is enough for me. I had that disgustingly gross game against San Jose State, and that's all I needed to see from Air Force. But again, to back up your thought about these CIC Academy games, 18 of the last 23 games between service academies, underdogs have covered. And that includes 9 out of 12 with the spread's been at least a touchdown favorite. So the recent history in these service academy games, because of the familiarity between the two, is that dogs have a tendency to cover. But I'd have a hard time taking Air Force plus the points here. And that being said, of course, we'll see Air Force wind up covering and screwing us both because it's your best bet, and I would have passed up on a potential winner. But my best bet of the week, presented by DraftKings. This is 9.5 now. You can still find a little bit better number in some other places. I laid 9.5 with Georgia Tech against Duke. Duke was extremely fortunate last week. Came back from a 20-0 deficit against North Carolina in the second half. Oh, by the way, North Carolina, like last 2 weeks, you lost 70 against JMU. You blow a 20-point lead. I don't know how much fight the Tar Heels have left in the tank for this week when undefeated Pitt comes to town. But I think Georgia Tech here at home, I think this offense will put up a big number on the Blue Devils. And I will lay this. I laid a lighter number earlier in the week. I would still lay 9.5 here. I do think this is a double-digit win for a very, very, very soft 5-0 Duke Blue Devil team.
Is this number, is this the highest you go in this number, 9.5? Is there?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Double digits. I wouldn't lay 10. Okay. But as long as it's still single digits.
Yeah, Duke 5-0 with a soft schedule. They might have ended Mac Brown's tenure though at Carolina, right? I mean that's probably, they're looking for a new coach after the season, I would imagine, in Carolina.
Yeah, I would imagine Mac will retire. All
right, my best bet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook is Minnesota plus 8.5 hosting USC for a couple reasons, Bear. Sometimes it's situational wager, right? So Minnesota played Iowa and Michigan. They played 2 tough teams. They played 2 top 5 defenses. Now they play USC, who's not either of those teams. USC can score on offense, but in the trenches, Minnesota has the advantage where they have not had it the last 2 weeks. So I think just playing a team like USC will excite them because they have to play Michigan, Iowa. Also, USC, Bear, look-ahead spot to the max, right? You just beat Wisconsin. That game, by the way, it was 21-10 Wisconsin. They stopped USC on a 3-and-out after halftime. They muffed a punt. Then USC scored 3 touchdowns in a row. Game was over. So that game was much closer than the final score. If you don't muff that punt, it's a much closer game. Now USC goes to Minnesota, where we know they don't win in that time zone very often, before they host Penn State in a huge sort of like Big Ten elimination game for the championship. So I think it's a look-ahead spot for USC. It's Minnesota not playing one of the best defense in the country. The last part of this game that I think is really important, Bear, USC's offensive line is really bad. Like it is a disaster this year. Minnesota can rush the passer. They can stop the run pretty well. I don't know how USC is going to to score. The Minnesota's defensive backs have a good havoc rate, which means they tip a lot of passes, they intercept balls.
Look at you dropping havoc rate on.
Havoc rate on defensive back havoc rate. So I like Minnesota. I just like the spot for Minnesota plus 8.5. This is, I would imagine, this is the best number you'll get on this. I would imagine come Friday night, Saturday Bear, that people come in on Minnesota in this spot.
You think so?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they'll. I think they'll see USC. I think if you wait, you might be able to get 9 on this.
It was earlier 9. It's gone back down a little bit. I seen the numbers. I mean, one person I trust has this as a 5-point margin. So I'm curious. I should ask Sammy what he had this game at. But 8.5 is my best bet with Minnesota here. Go Golden Gophers. I'm not going to say the other slogan. I don't like the row the boat thing. I think that's weird.
Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.